That's what we trained as in the field artillery.
So what did they train you to do? Were you working with the tanks? Or?
Well, I was...
Now, I don't want to interrupt, Dad, but didn't they start training you to be a cook?
Well, I was volunteered to be a cook.
He was volunteering to be a cook. And he still cooks, by the way.
And then they got out of that, and I went to be on the battlefield with the big guns.
With the big guns, so you're with the tanks then?
We had the 105s.
And what was your job in the tank then?
Well, I drove a half-track.
You were a driver then?
Uh-huh.
Now, did they pick littler guys to drive those tanks?
No,
Or because I had a couple guys that were tank drivers, and they said they made sure to find the smaller guys because the bigger ones wouldn't fit in there.
Well, I drove a half-track, and the first battle we was in, I lost it.
Wow.
Because I didn't put the shield down on the radiator, and one hit in front of it, and a piece of shrapnel went through the radiator, and I got my little butt chewed.
I bet. So when you did your training over at South Carolina, and then you were shipped overseas. Did you ride on the boats overseas?
Uh-huh.
Now, how was that for you?
Rough.
So were you one of the ones that got pretty sick?
Well, no, I didn't get sick that I know of, because I'd done a lot of fishing and used that waving.
Yeah, because I know there's a lot of them that get sicker than dogs. And
they did.
They were jealous of guys like you.
Uh-huh.
I bet they were jealous of guys like you.
There was a lot of us that had the training and really didn't do that kind, just come natural, I guess.
Yeah. So what unit were you with?
I volunteered here in Sedalia with the Missouri National Guard, the 128th Field Artillery.
Okay, that's what he started out in.
Then they cut us in two and made two different outfits out of us, the 231st, still the National Guard, Field Artillery.
So once you got overseas, where did you land?
Huh?
Where did you land when you went overseas?
Where did I win?
Where did you land? Did you end up in France or England?
Well, no, we was in. We crossed the channel to get over into the war. I was over there. France. I think
it was in France where you lost your leg.
Huh?
It was in France where you lost your leg.
Well, I was. I don't know.
Just take your time.
I know we crossed the channel to get over there, and I think I was in England.
You started off, you think, in England, and started making your way?
Went across and got into Germany.
So I imagine that you were in some pretty high fire zones, weren't you?
Tell her about the time he ran around a reconnaissance. Tell her about the reconnaissance you all would run. You remember you said you'd go up and then tell them where to drop the bombs or whatever?
Well, yeah, I was up there, told them where I was a driver of a lieutenant, or captain of lieutenant, I think it was. We was in the half-track, and I was a driver of it, and he sent back for it and put the bullets.
It was like reconnaissance.
And one day we was sent back for some rounds, and sorry, fire quota for the day. What the hell do you mean? Well, they're on strike back in the United States. And I said, pick them son of a bitches up and bring them over here. Let them strike. No, I was lucky.
Okay, Dad, now tell her about the horse. When you all was staying at the horse, you all were staying somewhere and the horse came walking down. Remember the guy was on guard?
Oh, yeah.
You tell that story. There's two stories I wanted to tell.
This horse was coming down and had shoes on, or there were shoes on, and they was coming down through there, and the old boy was standing out there at guard. He'd hollered, halt, and nothing would stop, and he went to shooting. Just shot the horse.
Thought it was a hostile horse.
Well, you didn't know those Germans, you know, a lot of them had those shoes on that you could hear them coming.
Yeah.
And that horse didn't stop.
Now tell the story about your lieutenant. You remember the one that went into the town under a white flag?
He didn't come back.
Right. But you tell that story, because I don't know why he went. I mean,
Well, he went in, they said that they would surrender if they sent somebody up, and he volunteered. He was one good man.
Mm-hmm.
I know. He done anything?
he really loved that guy. And he just never came back. You never heard about him, never seen him again.
Do you think they set a trap for him?
I think he had a trap set for all of them.
Yeah. I'm sure that was really hard on you guys. I said you guys lost a lot of good friends that you made real quickly, but they were like brothers.
And see, he wasn't married to my mother-in-law at that time. He was not married. Now, you can tell her, when you get yourself composed, you can tell her about what happened to you.
Well, it wasn't too much to tell.
About your leg and your ear?
I just wasn't in the right place. I was in the wrong place at the right time.
Yeah. What were you doing?
Well, we heard noises and nobody'd go out to look to see what was going on. I said, by God, I am.
They was in a basement.
Because I'm not going to get caught. And I went out and I didn't get back. When I come to, I was leaning up against the wall and this foot was laying here up on my chest and I was looking at it.
Oh my gosh.
And part of his
So you were shot then?
They landed one right out in front of me. And those two pieces got me there. One got me there and one right there.
Wow.
One lucky man.
Yeah, obviously you didn't see that one coming, huh? What kind of what was it that shot you? Was it?
It was a big gun and it landed right close to me and those two pieces of shrapnel come up. One got my leg and it was laying up here and this piece of ear was gone.
And he was awake.
So were they trying to hit the basement where you guys were at?
Well, they knew it was in there, yeah.
So partly putting you out there was a distraction. You might have saved those guys that were in the basement.
I went out to see what was going on. There's nobody going. I went and I didn't get back.
Yeah.
And I had one Swede with us, and I said, somebody gotta go get a doctor. And the Swede said, I'm not going. And he's worse shape than I was. And he didn't get hit either.
So he was shot.
No, he never got hit. He just shell shock.
Shell shock.
So what did they do with you then, Dad?
Well, they finally went and got somebody to come to pick me up. They put me on stretchers, hauled me out.
So did they take you to one of the little makeshift hospitals there, or did they put you on a hospital shipboat? Or
no, they take me back to headquarters, and I don't know. I stayed over for a while till we got ready to come back, and they put me on the boat and shipped me right back.
But they put you in a body cast, didn't they?
Well,
To try to get this going. And that when they put you in the body cast, then they put the maggots in there?
They had that body cast on there, and it braced across over to the other leg, so I couldn't move this one. I was in pretty bad shape.
And then the maggots started walking out of your cast?
Yes, they did.
And he says, what do you do about that? And they just handed him a ruler and told him to break them off into the floor.
So what were the maggots supposed to do then?
It was to eat that dead flesh on there.
Now, did it make you mad when you realized that you lost part of your leg then?
Well, I didn't feel too good about it. I knew I lost it when
you saw your foot sitting
when it come up here. When I come to, I was leaning up against the wall, and my leg was laying on my chest here, or my bottom. I could see the bottom of my foot.
Mm-hmm.
I threw it back over on the floor, on the ground, and hollered for boys out of the basement. And had one Swede down there, and he was worse shape than I was, and he never got hit.
Yeah.
He was just shaking all over.
Yeah. Well, I imagine that's not something you want to walk up on.
Well,
but obviously you took it pretty well in stride, and you're just throwing your leg off and saying, well, hello, come pick me up here.
Well, there was no
Didn't they
use.
take you back to the rear on the hood of the car, or was that something that you didn't tell me about?
I don't really remember how I did get back.
And then
I
he
know
told
he's
me,
told me that they had wheelchair races after he
Yeah.
got to doing better. They had wheelchair races in the hospital and kept
and
getting
he
in
always
trouble.
won.
And he always won, because I've been in a wheelchair for a few days here at home, and I'm going to be there for another 4 weeks. And then he said on the ship, they were doing the wheelchair races, and they said the captain or somebody told him, you're going to roll right off of here. He was ornery, I'm telling you.
I won most of the races too. Not bragging in it.
Were they doing the wheelchair races to try to get your morale up?
Well, I don't know what.
They just doing it.
Just something to do, I guess.
And on the boats, they used to race back and forth, and they're like,
So you had said earlier that you were part of a big family. How many brothers and sisters do you have?
Well, there was 9 of us all together.
9 of you?
I don't know what that picture's in.
And I think the boys were outrated the girls.
Yeah.
Is that all of them?
I don't think that's all of them.
See, Ace died.
There's only 6 there.
Ace died, and you lost another little one,
Well,
and another brother died. There was
Wade.
9 of you all together.
let's see. I got several of them gone.
Yeah.
He's the
All
one
of
with
us
the big
gone
belly.
except him.
There's
Except
just
Grandpa and
two of us, I think, left, or three.
2.
No, just you and Aunt Jean, Dad. These 2 right there.
Uncle Albert died, remember?
Yeah.
So were you the only son that had to serve in the military then?
No, it's I had another brother, I think,
And our
that
brother-
went.
Albert? Did Uncle Albert go?
I think so.
I was thinking he was doing some stuff at the VA.
So when word finally got back to your mom that you had lost part of your leg, how did she react? I imagine she was pretty upset.
I don't know. They kept me in for in the hospital until I really got able to get her out.
Where'd they take you, Dad? Which hospital? Do you remember?
Battle Creek, Michigan.
Battle Creek, Michigan. I thought that's what he had said before.
So how long was it before you got to see any of your family?
It was quite a little while.
And by that time, were you a little bit more mobile and you
Yeah,
could do things a little...
I get around on crutches.
He
We-
was around
we
the
had-
crutches better than I do.
We had races with crutches.
You had what?
Races.
When I was on crutches, I had races. Well, I most didn't come out winner. Not bragging in it either.
You must have a lot of upper body strength.
He does. He's a good guy. Up until just recently, he'd been out in the timber and cutting wood and stuff. Now, this last year, we haven't been doing it too much, but last fall, him and Jim got out and cut wood. He just doesn't handle a chainsaw.
Oh, I done a lot of farming after I got out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you married Wanda. He was injured Thanksgiving in 1944.
Yeah, it's a Thanksgiving.
James was born in 48, so they got married in April of 47. Wanda was his littlest sister's best friend. So they
You
went
went
off.
for a younger girl, huh?
Thought she'd outlive him, is what he thought. Then they went over to Kansas, Aunt Liddy Mae and her fiance, and Grandpa and Grandma, and got married. And then came back home and set up house, and like I said, James was born, my husband, on the 14th of February the next year. So that's the only way I know what year they got married. But see, he was out of service. He was injured in 44, so he was out, 3 years before he started with Wanda. But I've heard stories about him out in the Green Ridge area that he could outrun anybody, racing and stuff.
Yeah,
And even after he got his leg, it never slowed him down a lot. He always worked, took care of his family.
My grandpa said, he's out in the truck right now, he said whenever he was younger and he was in trouble and he used to run away from him, he used to catch up to him.
So you've obviously not let this injury slow you down at all. No. You've worked really hard to see the positive in it, because there are some men, I'm sure, that went through that same experience that they didn't take it so well.
Well, think about that Swede.
The what?
I just went on just like I had my regular leg. Of course, I didn't, and couldn't run like I did, you know. That's pretty fast foot.
Yeah.
And he's always worn, he's got a new type of leg on now, but the only pain he has is down in that stump. And he
I don't know where
can't.
you ever. Oh my God.
It's
What?
all right. It's got mud.
Oh, there's so
There's so much
God.
slush and mud.
Oh,
That's no big deal. Oh, wow. Goodness.
Look, how did I get into this
It's
mud?
against our truck, Dad.
You got mud and slush and salt and everything else. Wow.
And then he has a stump where they just put skin, dingling
Yeah.
skin over it.
Wow.
That'll stand.
Huh.
I got to trip that toe before it go down.
Wow.
Jamie's
I love
never
doing that.
been afraid of that.
My
Jamie's,
mom was, but
I've got
I wasn't. I haven't
This
been.
strap has got a boot in here for a liner.
Yeah.
and it's made of that fishing
Oh,
worm
God.
stuff, the gel.
Oh, don't worry about it. This floor's dirty anyway,
Dad, it's
so
okay.
you're not hurting it.
I didn't
This
know
is a-
I got muddy like that.
This is a great granddaughter. Her mother was petrified of those legs. Grandma
Yeah, when
leaves
she
them
used to
sitting
go
in the
to-
bathroom when we go over there, you know, when she's younger. Jamie grew up with it, didn't bother her. And now Harley, the other little one, she's 2. She goes into Grandpa's room and he's got a leg standing over there and one standing here because he don't use them. We need to get rid of them, but I don't know, you can't recycle them. And Harley will just go, Poppy's legs, Peepaw's legs. She gets panics.
So were you overseas very long before you got injured? I mean, did it
I was over about a year.
it took you about a year before you got hit?
We went to England to start with her and stayed there, and then we crossed the channel and into battle over in France
Now, where did you sleep?
on the ground.
On the ground? So you didn't have tents
Oh,
or...
Grandpa, tell her you used to put the hood down on that Jeep and lay on that Jeep because it was warm. That's what you told me when...
Well, the hood was kind of tampered. It was long.
He fit because he was small. He said that was warm up there. He said others had to sleep on the ground, but he said I could lay up there.
Did you have a lot of snow where you were at? Was there a lot of snow?
I don't recall it because I think in November, I think I got day after Thanksgiving, November, and I got it out of the country before
You got booked for the bad weather hit?
really hit. But it's still pretty cool out. That half track could drive it, you know, and it was kind of flat. I'd lay on that and keep warm.
Yeah. So what was your scariest moment?
Well, what?
What was your scariest moment in the service?
Well, when come to and that leg was laying up here, my bottom of my foot was laying up here.
Did you think you were going to make it?
Well, I didn't know for sure. And that was a Swede. There's another party in the game, you know, and he was worse than I was.
Yeah.
It scared him to death.
Now, when you have an injury like that, was there a lot of blood or not so much?
None that I know of.
None of you know? Because I didn't know if that's something that where, you know, you have to get the tourniquet and all that stuff on real quickly on you, or...
If as an RN, I have no idea, and nobody can explain except God, why he didn't bleed to death. Because you got a main artery going right down that leg, and he said he just tossed the leg across.
That's
So
wonderful.
that artery had to be severed, but the only thing I can think of, like I said, besides God, was that shrapnel was in the right place to block it. Because he said there was not a lot of blood. There's more blood up on his ear.
Yeah.
And if you've ever got an ear bleeding, it bleeds a lot. I don't know why.
Now, does that cause complications for you besides hearing loss with your ear, or is
No,
it...
I hear just good.
Yeah.
His problem was holding his glasses on there for a long time.
That would be true. That would be kind of hard.
And then one time he said that they offered to build him another ear back in the 50s or 60s, but he said I'd had to go around with my arm like this until it grew in. And he said, I told him I just keep the year I got. And then, since then, they've offered to make him a plastic one, like they do, but he says, I ain't messing with it.
So what does it mean to you to have served your country?
I've done my job.
You've done your job.
I think I've done it well.
Yes, you
Oh,
did.
yes. Oh, yes. And do you encourage other people? I mean, do you tell other people that it is a value and it is something that's important to do?
Well, really don't talk too much about it.
You don't talk too much about it?
He's had 2 sons, though, that served in the service.
Which
Dennis Ray went to the
Well,
Navy.
see, obviously you've had some sons who looked up to you since they followed in your footsteps. And so you even if you didn't talk about it, you still showed the importance of...
Oh, I can talk about it, but you know, things that gets to you.
Oh, yes.
And then the other thing is, he's shown me that handicaps shouldn't get you down.
Every spring and summer, whenever we used to have the garden, he is always out there pulling weeds. He was down on his knees pulling weeds, gardening.
110 degrees outside, and that's when he'd go out and pull with these. He says, the air conditioner makes me cold.
Yeah.
He used to be heavier, as you can see from that, but the last few years, he's almost refused to eat.
Yep.
He says, I eat all I want, and I've got all I want to eat, but he does drink his Ensure real good. Very few medical problems at this stage. He quit smoking when he was 50-something.
I used to be a heavy drinker, smoke.
Do you think some of the drinking came from the experiences that you had and what you saw and what you went through?
The drinking. When did you do your drinking? Didn't you do that before all this happened?
Oh, yeah, I drank when I come back.
Did you drink when you came back?
Then
Did that kind of help get you through some of the hard parts? Because I'm sure you talked to some things, but other things you had to keep it inside, and that might have been a release.
When you married Wanda, you gave up your drinking, didn't you?
Well, I made up my mind I was going to quit smoking and drinking both, and I did.
Yes, you did.
And how many kids did you have?
9.
9. So you were one of 9 kids, and then you had 9 kids? Now that's got to be hard. I have to struggle enough with 3. I don't see how you all do it with 9. I don't think I'd have any hair left.
My mother-in-law.
Well, it was 9, wasn't it, Judy?
Yes, Dad, it was. You've only lost one of your children, Jamie said that. You've only lost one of your children, that was Jerry Joe in a car wreck. And the rest of his children are all still alive. We have a little get-together either in the spring or in the fall around his birthday. He'll be 93 this year.
Wow, what month's your birthday in?
September.
September.
Oh,
September the 19th, 1917.
See, now that's another big hairy thing we got. The state says he was born in October. September. And he says, I was born in September, I was there. He says, that's what my mother said and everybody else. But the doctor didn't turn it in until October or something. And so they had that, and I mean to tell you, we went around and around with those people down in Jeff City, and I finally says, what difference does it make? I says, he's in his 70s, I mean 80s, and now he doesn't have a driver's license because at his age, he really didn't want one, and he couldn't pass the eye test. Now the VA said they could write a letter that he could drive, but I don't think if we go anywhere, he
usually does drive.
I drive some, but not.
He
drives the tractor.
Anymore, he just doesn't like to go very far.
Well, after a while, you wear out a little bit.
I told him.
I mean, you got 90 good on you, I could understand why you want to take a break.
I told him this morning, I said, you got an hour and a half to get ready to go up to study. What for? And I told him, and he goes, So we get out of the truck out there, and he says to Jim, are you going in? And Jim goes, nope, this is your show. And Dad goes, I said, I don't know nothing.
Here. The Super 6th.
Yeah, that's what he was in.
So what?
See, right here.
So what is the Super 6th?
Just another outfit, the 6th Armored Division.
That means they did their trucks and stuff, I think.
We had the infantry and field artillery and everything. And I was reconnaissance, and we'd go up and send back orders for some fire. And we did, and we said, fired the quota for today. What the hell you mean?
Look at this truck.
We got them on the run and you've got no fire for us.
Actually, it says 1938 on the back. But see, he's forgotten so much nowadays that I have to get what I can written down as soon as I can.
I lost one of my vehicles.
Did you?
I didn't, it had a shield on the radiator, you know, as you closed. I left it open and one piece went through the radiator. I got my little rump chewed.
So, but it didn't hurt you when you lost your vehicle?
Huh?
It didn't hurt you when you lost your vehicle, or were you in it when it got damaged?
Did you get another vehicle, is what she's trying to ask. Did it hurt you when you got shot in the radiator?
No, the reason I was over in the field.
You just didn't put the guard down on it to keep it from getting shot.
My lieutenant said, let's get out of this thing that's coming down the road. One on one side, one on the other, and right back. One got my vehicle and I didn't have the hood down, and when I got through, lieutenant said, you didn't put the shield down, did you? And I said, no, I didn't.
So did you get another vehicle then?
No, they fixed it.
They fixed it and you went on,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh yeah, we had people that done that kind of work.
So your main job was a driver, driving the half tracks?
I was a driver. There was an outfit that went up and picked out the targets for them to shoot at.
Really? Well, you had to be kind of sneaky then, huh?
It was.
Because otherwise they'd spot you.
That's what happened. I left that shield up and on the radiator, and they laid one right in front of it, and it went one piece of it went right through the radiator. And that's when I got it.
Now, do you keep in contact with anybody that you served with? I mean, after you got out of the service, did you keep in contact with some of the men?
Well, I do. I knew a bunch of them over around Sedalia there. There was a National Guard. I went in when the National Guard mobilized. I was in the CC camp at Marshall. And they would come over and said they're looking for some good hands. And I knew it. I was right at the top of the draft order. And they said, well, I said, if you want to go, you can go. I said, we'll release you. And I said, well, I'm going to go. And I beat the draft by just a few days.
Yeah. Doesn't it feel good to go on your terms instead of their terms?
If I'd have went on their terms, God knows what I'd landed up in.
Might have been the Navy.
Might have been, it'd been some Army or infantry outfit.
He asked, he told me one time, they asked me, how'd you come over? And he said, on a ship. And they says, well, how would you like to go back? And he says, well, I'd like to go back something else besides the ship. He said they put him on a ship. He said it was like nothing.
I wanted to fly back.
Yeah, he wanted to fly an airplane back.
So imagine going back on the ship without your leg and your ear. Imagine that made it even a longer journey.
I got up. I wouldn't stay still on the boat. I got my crutches and I run up and down on those boats. And they said, "You're going to get thrown off here." And I said, "Well, if I do, I'll just get thrown off."
I've never seen this man in a depressed mood. He's always been working, always been out doing things. Until lately.
I just couldn't be still.
Yeah.
I wasn't born to be still, and I was.
There was a group here in Sedalia that you came up, you and Mom came up here to the meetings. What's that on your jacket? Is it Disabled American Veterans? They had a meeting down on Ohio all the time. And when Wanda was still with us, they went to that quite often. We'd go to
A drinker, smoker. Quit both of them. They say, "Oh, we can't quit." I said, "Oh, yes, you can." I had a pack of cigarettes I carried in my shirt pocket here. Had to open up and I could smoke them if I wanted to. And I offered the guy to smoke some of them because filter, we got so darn dirty you couldn't smoke them.
He worked at the hatchery by himself on nights at that time. So, I mean, he had to have a strong constitution to be able to quit smoking. My husband can't quit smoking for 2 hours.
I quit smoking, I quit drinking, and I quit chasing women.
Mom would have skinned your head.
So when you were out in Europe and traveling, what did you guys eat? If you were sleeping on the ground, what did you guys eat for food?
Well, we had a regular kitchen with us.
Did you?
Every company had their own kitchen.
Wow.
And I was
You got to eat pretty good, huh?
and I was a cook for a while, and I wasn't making good nowhere. And I finally got out, went to driving the vehicle. I had a half track I drove, and I called it Cutie.
And why'd you call it Cutie?
Huh?
Why did you name it Cutie?
Well, I thought it was cute, and I forgot to put the shield down on it one day, and the radiator got it, and then I got it.
Yeah, I bet.
You were supposed to have that shield down.
Yeah.
Well, I said I thought it was getting too hot, and I raised it up.
That's all
That
right.
was about the end of it. Wasn't long after that, so I come to with this thing laying on the bottom of the chest like this. I take my hand, throw it back over on the floor, and went to the basement door, and I hollered at the boys in the basement. I said, I've been hit. And a Swede come up there. He's Swedish, and he was scared worse than I was.
What happened with the others that was down there?
Well, one of them finally come up and went and got somebody to come and get me.
Otherwise, they weren't coming out, huh?
They wasn't coming out.
I can just imagine Dad being the one that was feisty enough to do all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He says one of the reasons him and Wanda got married, of course they loved each other, but he said they both wanted 9 children.
Now, why did you want 9? Just because you were part of 9?
We had 9.
Yeah, but why did you want 9? Was there a special reason?
No.
No, just wanted them.
You must have a lot of patience.
He did have. He doesn't have as much now. He lives still on the family farm. James and I are living there with him, taking care of him.
Well, you get
down by Windsor.
You get up in your 90s, you don't just got all gone.
Yep. Yep.
Been around a long time. Went through one depression.
Mm-hmm.
Worked for a man making 50 cents a day. Looked at me one day and said, by dads, I shouldn't be paying but 35 cents. I said, by dads, and you do, you'll find somebody else. He was a bachelor, and I worked for him.
Yeah.
And he could cook, and he done the cooking, and I done the farming for him.
So when you got back from the service, did you become a farmer then? Is that what you did occupation-wise?
When I got back out to service, bought this little farm, lived on it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I still do.
Well, no, that one out by the lake.
Oh, that went out by the lake. Okay.
Yeah, there in Windsor.
Yeah, now, and then the one that we live on now was bought back in 1960, I think. So.
Goodness gracious. Well, it sounds like you've definitely made the rounds, that's for sure.
I've been around, I talked a long time. I finally find the handle. Yeah.
So,